Call this city meeting to order. At this time, if you're able, please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command, car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
At this time, I'll call on Councillor Bodner for our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Niagara region is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawindaronk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Port Colborne stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Thank you, Councillor. At this time, if I could have Councillors Hoyle and Danch move that the council agenda dated September 10th, 2024 be confirmed as circulated. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. Are there any disclosures of interest this evening? We have two sets of minutes, the regular council meeting of August 27th, 2024, and council in closed session, August 28th, 2024. If I could have Councillors Elliott and Bruno move those. Questions on either sets of minutes? All in favor? That's carried. Staff reports. Are there any staff reports to be pulled? Seeing none. Could I ask a councillor to pull 9.1, the correspondence from the City of St. Catharines? Councillor Beauregard. So with that said, items 8.1, 8.2, 9.2, and 9.3, if I could have Councillors Bagu and Aquilina move those items. All in favor? That's carried. Now we're on to presentations, and I will be going to the podium. It gives me great pleasure to present this award each year. Just to give you a background on the Isidore Spawner Memorial Trophy. 100 years ago, marathon swimming was a huge deal. It was an international sport. Long-distance swimmers were celebrated on the front pages of newspapers around the world. Starting in 1927, marathon swimmers from many countries came to the Canadian National Exhibition in Toronto to compete in the Professional Swim Championship of the World, a distance of 34 kilometers, or as us old people know, 21 miles. In the 4 times he participated between 1927, when he was just 15 years old, and 1933, when he was 21, Isidore Spawner of Port Colborne finished in the top 3. He was a sports hero, the Christine Sinclair or Connor McDavid of his time. When Isidore returned to Port Colborne after his marathon swim in 1933, he was welcomed by hundreds or more like thousands of cheering Port Colborne fans. There were so many people, the mayor of the day, W.H. Smith, had to close Clarence Street between King and the canal. There were speeches by the mayor, council, gifts from local businesses, including Tuck Jewelers, and who were founded in 1900 by Reginald Tuck, grandfather of Ross and great-grandfather of Rob, who still reside in Port Colborne. For Isidore Sponder, the fanfare was amazing, but it was about the sport, the commitment, the spirit of camaraderie among competitors, as it was to win the day. Isidore Sponder was a good guy, a kind, thoughtful, dedicated athlete who always gave his all. Mr. Sponder was 74 when he passed in December of 1986. His family paid for a pool lift for handicapped swimmers in the Centennial Pool and dedicated it to the people of Port Colborne. When Centennial Pool was decommissioned and the new pool opened in the Valet Center 10 years ago in 2013, 11 now, the Sponder family wanted to ensure Isidore's memory lived on. In that spirit, his family established the Isidore Sponder Memorial Trophy. The trophy is awarded to a member of the Port Colborne swim team, the Piranhas, who best reflects the same values he did: a competitive and encouraging spirit, dedication to the sport, and always giving 110%. Isidore is one of the first inductees to our Sports Wall of Fame. Sponder Trophy recipients are chosen by Coach Jennifer Lauer, now in her 33rd year as coach. She chooses for their abilities in the pool, but more than that, she chooses for their character, their kindness, and their support of others, and their commitment to swimming. Before we call up Coach Laura, I have a message from Fred Horvath, nephew of the late Isidore Sponder. Fred normally attends every presentation we've done for this award, but unfortunately this year he's unable to get down here. He was also the Director of Operations for the municipality of Clarington until he retired in 2020. So Fred knows all about what goes on at a city council meeting, we know that. So we thank, so what he says here is, I thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council, for again presenting the Isidore Sponder Memorial Trophy at council tonight. I'm sorry that I'm unable to attend. I always look forward to returning to Port Colborne and seeing familiar faces. Thank you, Jennifer, for the great work you do, and congratulations, Callum. On behalf of the Sponder family, thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. That's from Fred Horvath. So we thank Mr. Horvath for his commitment to this annual honor on behalf of the Sponder family, and we hope that he can come back and join us next year. So now it gives me great pleasure to call up Coach Lohr to speak about the trophy recipient, Callum High. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to present the Isidore Sponder Award to Callum tonight. I've watched him develop as a student at DeWitt Carter School, having taught him for his 2 kindergarten years. He's new to competitive swimming, and he has progressed from an eager but a novice learner in swimming to swimming on the Piranha swim team this summer. And similar to the Callum, who I know at school, he dove right into competitive swimming, and he was eager for a new challenge. This summer, he participated in 4 regular swim meets and 1 regional meet. He earned many ribbons for his efforts, and he always encouraged his teammates. It is for these reasons that I'm proud to present the Isidore Sponder Award to Callum High. Congratulations, Callum.
If we could ask Callum to come up, we have a couple presentations. Come on up, young fella. You can go right here.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
So first we have a trophy. You'll see all the previous winners. It's the Isidore Sponder Memorial Trophy. This will go in the Valet Health and Wellness Center in our trophy case, which is right by the pool and the main Teeter Kennedy rink. So we'll present that to you first. You get to hold that. But as well, Callum gets to take home, and I'll just read what it says here. Presented to Callum High, recipient of the City of Port Colborne Isidore Sponder Memorial Trophy for 2024. Recognizing in you the same generous and competitive spirit and dedication to the sport of swimming as personified by Isidore Sponder. It even has my signature on it.
Thank you.
So why don't we go up front? Coach, you can come up and let's get some photos.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
We'll get it in front of the big wheel. Thank you. TV land could hear it.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you, Callum. Congratulations. You get to take that? I'm going to take this one because we're going to put that in the trophy case tomorrow. Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your dedication. You never know. So the next presentation we have this evening is for our grant recipients for our second allocation for 2024. The Grant Allocation Committee meets twice a year to review applications for community grants. The grant program started in 2001 with proceeds from the sale of Colborne Hydro to Canadian Niagara Power. We have 5 members on our committee. Our chair is B. Kenny, if B wants to come up. We also have our citizen member Brenda Hames. She's unable to meet with us this evening. And we have councillors, Monique Aquilina and Councillor Tim Hoyle, if they could come up forward. And I also serve as mayor on that committee. Our committee allocates funding to local nonprofit groups and organizations based on council-approved criteria. The deadline for applications in the second round of 2024 was June the 30th. The committee met in late July to discuss the merits of the applications. Grants are allocated to 8 community groups and organizations, and we're pleased to present checks to their representatives that are here with us this evening. At this time, if I can call our chair forward, B. Kenny, to make a few presentations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is always one of my favorite times of the year when the city actually gives back to the community. And so I'm very pleased if I could have Erin Grable. Is she here? Thank you, Erin. Erin is the Executive Director of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Niagara. The $4,000 provided in this grant is to be used to support the current Big Brother and Little matches in Port Colborne, but also to restore the programming by recruiting volunteers in the community and in the in-school mentorship for children who have been waiting since COVID, really. There was a delay of those 2 years with the COVID. And so congratulations, Erin, on behalf of the committee to have this check. We're very pleased to present it. And if you'd like to say a few words, that would be great.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you to the committee and to the City of Port Colborne for their support of Big Brothers Big Sisters. As Bea mentioned, we provide mentorship programs to children and youth in the community. Last year, there was 36 children and youth in Port Colborne that benefited from a mentor from our program, and we're hoping that with your support, we'll be able to expand that number and reach more children and youth. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erin.
Well, I just met her earlier today, Joanna Mataya. Joanna is the Executive Director of Community Living, Port Colborne Wainfleet, and I'm pleased to present on behalf of the Grant Committee this check. It's to be used for a respite program for their community living parents and families. The money will help cover cost of transportation, fees, and snacks for summer activities during the day camp. And so we're very pleased to present you with this, Joanna. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you. Would I just say a few words as well? That'd be great.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of Community Living, Port Colborne Wainfleet, to the council and to everyone who supported this worthy cause. We continue to run after-school programs for families with children with developmental disabilities, and this will allow us to give them some respite so that they can come to our center, enjoy some fun, play some games, have some nutritious meals, and some fellowship. So this is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Brenda Hames is a citizen on the committee with me. I'm the other citizen on the committee. She can't come tonight, so I'm presenting the checks on her behalf from this committee. So is there a Mark Carl here? Mark, on behalf of the grant committee, I'm pleased to present the check for $2,500, which will help pay for the energy efficient heat pump for the current home for Habitat of Humanity. And I know this is not the first time the city of Port Colborne has helped you out. So we're very pleased to present you this check, and it's for a heat, is that right, a heat pump? Okay, great. Say a few words.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you to the committee and council, and you're correct, it's not the first time. I also want to thank council and the city of Port Colborne for the donation of the land as well that we are currently building on. So Habitat for Humanity's mission is to bring the community together and the community together to build safe, decent, affordable housing for citizens of Niagara. So we are excited. We are 3/4 of the way through our Mitchell Street project here in Port Colborne. It's one of 7 houses this year that will be built. The family has been selected. They've lived in Port Colborne. They're excited to be in Port Colborne. They're thrilled to have safe, decent, affordable housing in Port Colborne. And one of the things I want to thank the committee and council for, this money will go towards energy efficiency so that it helps reduce the heating cost that the family will have when they're living in Port Colborne as residents here. And we're excited. We look forward to having council and the city of Port Colborne joining us for the home dedication. Hopefully just before Christmas is when the family will be moving in, is our targeted date on Mitchell Street. And special thanks for the donation, Mr. Mayor, to the council for the land and the cooperation. And the Firefighting Association has helped us with insulation, drywall, and they've been there helping us and building us. So it's truly the community has been coming together to build the house in Port Colborne. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay. And now I need Diana Chivers up, please. Diana is the financial coordinator and program director of Port Cares, and she's here to accept the grant from the grant committee. It's did you know that 1 in 8 families in Port Colborne go to the Reach Out Center for weekly groceries? 1 in 8. It's unbelievable. And then a hot meal is served at the Reach Out Center 3 times a week. And the Reach Out Center also provides an emergency food box delivery for seniors. And starting next week, they go back. I always give this, so think about it. When you're giving money for this is the school box lunches for kids. A lot of kids go to school, nothing in their tummy, and they certainly help with these lunchbox programs. So this is a $5,000 check to help with these programs, and Diana, I'm very happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Say a few words.
Thank you. We're extremely grateful for the city's support, as always. The need is more than ever, as I'm sure you all saw on CHCH this morning, and just thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Diana.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Diana, and thank you, B, for doing those the two people's presentations. At this time, I'll call Councillor Hoyle to come forward and make the next presentations.
Will Steve Ward and Tom Napper please come forward? Steve is the president of Port Colborne District Conservation Authority. Tom is the vice president. On behalf of the committee, I am pleased to present you with a check for $2,600 for funding towards the improvements to your clubhouse.
Thank you.
Would you like to speak?
Yeah. I want to thank the councilors that have supported us and the relationships that we've all developed. We are doing everything that we said we were going to do. We're really happy to see the scouts out there and the guides out there. You guys are helping us make this even more possible, so thank you very much. And I want to thank my board for doing all the work that they've done, and Tom supporting me too. So thank you very much. Community appreciates it, so do we.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.
Susie was telling me. Yeah. Thank you.
Will Belinda Rubery from Port Optimistic Society please come forward? Melinda is a board member of the Port Colborne Optimistic Society. The Optimistic Society, in case you were not aware, is the oldest amateur theater company in Niagara, founded in 1945. Port Colborne is proud to have you here. On behalf of the grant committee, I'm pleased to present you with a check of $2,000 to help the Operatic Society redesign its website to include smartphone compatibility and e-commerce features.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
We'd like to speak.
Thank you. Cheers. On behalf of the Port Colborne Operatic Society, we thank you very much for your generous contribution. Like you mentioned, since 1945, we're going on 80 years of bringing musical theater to our community. So we'd like to continue to do that, and with your help, we're able to do it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Registration tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Lakeshore for our next production of Anything Goes. Just throwing it in.
Oh, no, sir. Right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Melinda. We can start just saying to some of you guys, you're going. Gary likes to talk, so we could get Gary out there. He could do that really well. That's right. Again, thanks, Tim, for doing those presentations. At this time, if I could have Councillor Aquilina come forward for our final two grants.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would I be able to get Alexander Fazzari and Harry Hamilton from the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 56 to join me at the podium? Harry is the president of Branch 56 and Alexander is vice president. On behalf of the grant committee and the city of Port Colborne, I'm happy to present a grant of $3,000 to help with the cost of an outdoor LED sign and 8 security cameras to help deter ongoing thefts and vandalisms at the branch.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. On behalf of the Royal Canadian Legion in Port Colborne here, this will go a long way, and it means a lot to us, and we're proud to support the city of Port Colborne. We're putting on different programs this year. We're involving seniors, and we're also stepping down and opening the doors up for youth darts and youth programs. So we are working closely with the community service, and last year was a great success, and we're looking for positive situations this year. Next year is our 2026. The Royal Canadian Legion will have been in Port Colborne for 100 years. So we were commissioned in 1926, and we'll be putting on a big display for 100 years in Port Colborne. So thank you very much for this. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you again. And thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and the last award is going to the Wave. So could I have Jessica Grable please join me? Jessica is the Director of Sponsorship and Media Relations for the Port Colborne Girls Hockey Association, famously known as the Wave, which I've learned that B was one of the first girls hockeys, yes. Jessica, on behalf of the grant committee, I'm pleased to present a grant for $2,000 for some hardware and software to help your administration and marketing programs to manage membership in your association. Congratulations. I'd like to say a few words.
I can see it from here. I had to prepare a speech ahead. I can't just go off the top of my head. So the Port Colborne Wave, we are an organization that is powered entirely by dedicated volunteers who generously give their time and energy to make a meaningful impact in the lives of females of all ages through one of Canada's greatest sports, hockey. Even as a marginalized group, we persist through the challenges faced by female hockey organizations because we believe in the transformative power of sports. Hockey is not just a game, it's a journey of self-discovery, friendship, and growth. And at Port Colborne Wave, we understand the unique obstacles faced by women in this sport. We often deal with limited funding, resources, and recognition, which is why support like the City of Port Colborne Grant for Marketing and Advertising is so crucial to our success. Your contribution helps us create opportunities for more girls to shine, both on the rink and in real life. And I was also going to give a shout out to Bea because I learned in going through the grant process that she was one of the first females to play hockey in Port Colborne before there were girls teams, and I predict that it was during a time that it was still quite taboo to play hockey. But what a testament to what a sport can do in a young girl's life, and to see Bea up here and in the role that she's in today and the impact she's had on Port Colborne. And that's really what drives a lot of us in the Wave is we are focused on House League, but at the end of the day, it's a lot more than just a sport. It's what we can do for these young girls and how we can grow them up to be leaders later on in their life. So this season, we're very proud to experience record numbers in registration. Our players range in age from 3 years old to 75 this year, with a strong focus, or all of our focus being on House League and beginners. We provide beginners of all ages the chance to learn and love the game in a welcoming environment. Our Senior Ladies Intramural League has expanded to 6 teams. We have 96 players. And this is giving women the opportunity to learn this sport later in life, especially if they've never had the chance before. So to our players, coaches, volunteers, families, and of course the city, thank you for being a part of this incredible journey, and let's continue supporting each other and uplifting our girls and sharing the positive impact that hockey and sports can play in their lives. So thank you. It's a little longer than
Oh, better take that. Yeah. Thanks, Jessica, and thank you, Councillor Aquilina, for those presentations. One thing I do like to say is, or would like to say, based on Girls Wave, the Wave started when I served as president of Port Colborne Minor Hockey. Tim Hoyle came forward and said, hey, let's get the girls reestablished. So that's what we did back. We started with one team, Tim, back in the day, and then now we're up to what Jessica said, and seniors. B said she's going to pull the skates out again and give it a try. Well, there you go. Maybe she can come back as a coach, eh, B? The senior girls level? Yeah, exactly. You know, it's funny because, you know, B did play back 1950s.
Yeah.
Hazel McCallion played back in those days. She was a huge ambassador between Canada and Japan. She took teams over to Japan to grow the game in Japan, and there were all girls teams from Canada that went over. So it's pretty neat that you're in that same category.
Her and I had a chat over that one.
I know, exactly. I know that story. So we want to say congratulations to all our recipients, and thank you, fellow committee members, for your conscious work allocating these important dollars. But we thank the volunteers out there that work with our community organizations and just make Port Colborne the great place it is to live, raise your families, help our seniors, help our youth, It's such a fantastic area. The Grant Allocation Committee meets again in the new year. The deadline for the next allocation of grants for 2025 is January the 31st. You don't have to wait until January. You can apply right now. Go to the criteria or go on our website for the criteria for eligibility at cityofportcoburn.ca. You can find the application there and get it in, and Gail Todd will look after that. And now I would ask all the grant recipients to please join the committee members for a group photo at the front. Thank you. Okay. Best parts of our council meeting, guys. Awards and handing out our grants. It is. So on to the mayor's report. Federal Minister of Health Mark Holland was in Fort Erie last Thursday, arranged by our Member of Parliament Vance Badaway, our Chief Administrative Officer Scott Louie, our Director of Corporate Services Brian Bowles, our Manager of Strategic Projects Gary Long, and Dr. Matthew Vandenberg joined myself to meet the Minister, along with Mayor Wayne Redekop and his senior team. We talked about the healthcare needs of Port Colborne and Fort Erie, with an emphasis on improving access to primary care for residents. We're all aware of the challenges facing South Niagara's healthcare system, including physician shortages, healthcare infrastructure, and the need for enhanced community-based healthcare solutions. Minister Holland commended our collaborative efforts to develop effective primary care models tailored to the unique needs of South Niagara. Our approach differs from Fort Erie's, but Mayor Redekop and I agree. Access to primary care is essential for well-being of our communities, and we appreciate the federal government's support as we presented new and improved healthcare models, and we're grateful the minister reaffirmed his commitment to South Niagara. And we also thank MP Badaway for bringing the minister to speak with us. Mashiro Matsui and Atsushi Kato were in Port Colborne today from the Consul General of Japan in Toronto. Matsui-san is the Information Culture Consul, and Kato-san is the Cultural Affairs Aide. We toured the site where the Asai Kasei new production facility will be built. They were quite impressed with the size of the property, how much work is being done, and quite frankly, how big the machines are that are moving all the dirt and putting in all the stone. It is truly amazing. From the first day we went there when it was just the big, huge hill to today where it is unbelievable. And just watching them move earth and stone today. So they were quite impressed with that. They also were touring the city with the CAO and Paul Ferris and Gary Long was with them. So they were out while I was at another meeting. And then they came back to the city and we had a sit down with regards to our October trip to Japan with regards to what companies we want to meet with. We talked about the city of Moriyama and meeting the mayor and councilors at that city. We're touring some other areas of Japan where we can meet up with other companies, the Japanese Chamber of Commerce, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and our ambassador, or the ambassador won't be there, but his staff will be there that we get to meet with. So Port Colborne is getting a lot of attention these past many months. We're exploring a variety of projects and undertakings with AK and with other commercial and industrial leaders within our city. We're getting this attention because we've been focusing on building and growing our city. And I could not be more proud of the team, which has worked so diligently to make this happen. We work ahead of us, we have work ahead of us, of course, but our collaborative efforts are paying off. On behalf of council, I thank each and every one of you. Jim Anthosio made his first visit to Port Colborne today as the new president and chief executive officer of the St. Lawrence Seaway Management Corporation. We had a great meeting. We discussed all the opportunities we share with the Seaway and how productive we plan to be together. Jim was named president of the Seaway earlier this year. He took over on July the 12th, replacing Terrence Bowles, who served at the helm of the Seaway since 2010. Jim is responsible for the overall operation of the Canadian portion of the binational Seaway system. And he joined the Seaway in 2008 as a corporate manager in mechanical engineering. In 2016, he was appointed vice president, engineering and technology. And just prior to his appointment as president and CEO, he led the Seaways team to negotiating a 20-year management, operation, and maintenance agreement with the federal government. On behalf of council, I told Jim we look forward to going a long way into the future as a valued partner with the St. Lawrence Seaway Authority. I hope to see a full house Friday afternoon at 2 over at Roselawn for the opening of the Traveling Art Show, an exhibit of work by members of the Port Colborne Art Club. The art club was founded in 1947. It started with a group of local artists meeting in their homes to enjoy painting together. Many of you will remember famous Port Colborne artists such as Mary Pretty, Madeline Fragran, Ann Rivers, and Mary Lampman, and many others. And many of you have their work in your homes. They were all members of our art club. The next generation of painters in the club now meets at the Julia Yeager Community Center in Bethel. Workshops have been led by instructors from across Ontario and Quebec. Mary Franzen is the current president of the club. You'll meet the board and many of the members Friday, September 13th at 2 p.m. Council and I are proud of Director of Museum and Culture, Stephanie Baswick, and her team for really making things happen at Roselawn since they took the historic mansion under their wing with so much they already do with the Museum and Archives and Arabella's Tea Room, and good work, team. Also on Lucky Friday the 13th, we'll be hosting the last community concert of the season. I hope to see a full house at the band shell at H.H. Knoll Lakeview Park for an evening of the blues, featuring Blues Etc., also featuring Juno Award nominee Spencer McKenzie. The admission is free, as it has been all summer, and we thank our sponsor, Asai Kasei Battery Separator Canada, for sponsoring this summer concert series. And all we ask is everyone bring some non-perishable food to support the Reach Out Center, So far, concert goers have donated more than 1,500 pounds of food for our food bank, and we thank everyone out there for their generosity. We've invited all the volunteers who helped us at Canal Days this year to the concert to recognize their efforts and show our appreciation for all they did to make the festival a success. We also invited the Port Colborne Downtown Cruisers to join us Friday evening, so we'll all enjoy a colorful display of classic cars. It'll be a great evening, a great way to celebrate as we mark the final days of a fabulous summer. And that ends my mayor's report. Any questions? Okay, the regional councillor is not here this evening. Fred's away. Are there any regional questions? Okay. Staff remarks. Madam Clerk, anything from the Clerk's Department?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, Mr. Shapowski.
Yes, through you, Your Worship. Our first update is regarding the Mitchener Drain Culvert replacement, which is taking place on Weaver Road, north of Colali Street East. There's currently a road closure in place that will extend to September 20th. All residents will continue to have access to the properties at all times through either Highway 3 or Colali Street East. Secondly, the city's road reconstruction program will be taking place over the next 3 weeks. Notices will be delivered to all impacted properties, and a full list of the roads to be resurfaced or reconstructed is available on the city's website. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Bowles. Is that Mr. Law?
Through you, Your Worship, good evening, Council. Just a couple of things. Just wanted to mention that city staff will be submitting a funding application this week to the second round of the Housing Accelerator Fund. That is a federal program administered by CMHC. The city did submit an application to round one. We were unsuccessful, but had a strong application, but there was, the program was oversubscribed. So we will be submitting an application to round two this week. And that's something that our chief planner, myself, and a consultant are working on. Just a reminder that that there's a public meeting for the city's new development charges background study and bylaw. That public meeting will be held on September 24th. So we look forward to a presentation from our consultant from Watson and Associates. Also wanted to mention that collaborating with Mr. Shapowski in Public Works on a couple of funding applications with the province. One is the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund and the Housing Enabling Core Services Fund. So we're looking at those applications, and applications are due this fall. So it's a priority. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Law. CAO.
Just one item through you, Your Worship. I wanted to send recognition to 20 staff members who participated in a United Way fire truck pull today. We sent 2 teams of 10 staff, a team of pirates and a team of sailors, to the United Way fire truck pull. We raised over $3,000 for our internal staff and council United Way campaign. An email, and thank you to everyone who donated it from staff and from council. There is still time to donate up until midnight tonight on the link that Jasmine sent out to all staff and council members. And I'd like to thank Annie, Lindsay, and Jasmine for all the work they did pulling the team together. So this is the start of a United Way campaign for all staff and council, and it's a great way to kick it off.
Yeah, one team came 9th. I think one came 12th out of 20. That's what I heard. So yeah, congratulations. No other staff remarks. Councillors' remarks. Councillor Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I'm all good, but depending on what Councillor Aguilina says, I might jump back in with one thing. So.
We can allow that. Councillor Hoyle.
Through the mayor, staff has actually taken care of all my stuff. I just have 2 other things. One is that the barrel purchases and the trees that the environmental committee was doing for this weekend has sold out, I hear. Everything that were bought were sold. So I look forward to seeing people on Saturday pick up their stuff. The other thing is that for Mr. Bowles or Steve, when are we going to be getting the electric charging stations finally, after a century? No, not yet. Finally into the city so we can start electrifying some other assets in the future.
Steve?
Yes, through you, your worship. So it has been quite some time since we've been investigating and looking at the best options to move forward with providing electrical vehicle charging stations within the city. We've moved through a couple ideas. One was initial partnering with a company that does this professionally. Another situation was looking at applying for funding to have mini chargers throughout the city, with the city running a portion of it. We've finally decided that the best scenario is to let the professionals move forward with electrical charging and partnering with a company that does it full-time instead of the city getting involved in that business. So we have spoken with the company. We are looking through some agreements at this point right now. We're having legal vet it, and then we're going to be moving forward. There is the potential that it could happen this year, but I'm hesitant to say that based on what's happened previously in the previous timeline. But we are still trying to get it done as soon as possible. Over the next couple weeks are going to be the key indicator as to the final timeline for the project. So I'd be more than happy to come back to council at the next council meeting with an update.
Councillor?
Thank you. That gives me some information for tomorrow night's meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Danch?
Yeah, I just gotta, through you, of course, ask Steve there. So we have all these beautiful new signs and going up around our parks and stuff like that, but a few have been missing for some time. Touch base with Steve there. He's telling me that there's going to be a bunch that are going to be installed in the next few days. And for those that have been bugging me about where the signs are, there's your answer, I guess. They're all going to be done shortly. One thing I would ask, though, is that we have that rope taken off at H.H. Knoll Park that's going around the sign. It's been there since canal days for no apparent reason. I'm sure we've had at least one city truck go through that parking lot in the last month. It should come down. There's no need for it to be there. And other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, I'm going to pick on Steve for 3 quick questions. Are we finished line painting for the year? And if we're not, can we take a look at the corner of Sugarloaf and Rosemount? The stop bar and the crosswalk lines haven't been painted this year, I don't believe. I think we missed it.
Yes, through your worship, I can take a look at that. In certain circumstances, some of the pavement markings done on a 2 to 3 year basis, depending on which ones it actually are. So I'll take a look at it and just see if it needs to be refreshed. Yeah, we can refresh it.
Pretty faint. So, second of all, the water main break that we had on Clarence Street, going back a few months ago at Clare area, are we going to get back in and repave that? It's still the temporary patch on top.
Yeah, through your worship. So over the next few weeks, this is when our asphalt contractor is going to be in the city. So we'll be doing spots like that. There are a few others throughout the city as well that just have temporary asphalt in place right now. So that's going to be completed over the next month or so.
Okay, and one last thing. I would assume that the sewer lining is going well in Clarence and Rosemount, because the guys seem to be moving around pretty quick. Everything is going as planned?
Yes, through your worship. So we just finished Clarence Street. You might have noticed for quite a few days they were out there actually repairing a lot of the sewers internally first before actually doing the lining. And when you're doing the lining, you'll actually see a ton of steam starting to come out. So if any of the councillors were driving by at the time, you might have thought there might have been a fire in the area, but it was actually just steam that's curing the pipe. It's going very well. We're actually getting more lining than what we expected for the money that we allowed for this contract, which is great. So we're basically sending out a second list over the next month and a half. We're just tweaking it to make sure that we're getting into the right priority areas, because as council's been informed before, we have to kind of stay dynamic in these situations. As things evolve, we're going to change. There's going to be new priorities. As we start dwindling down each drainage area, we're finding that there's smaller and smaller sections that are more problematic than others. So those are the ones that we're always targeting. But yes, it is going well, and we are getting more done than what was even expected from the onset.
Awesome. Great. Thanks.
Great. Councillor Burnham?
Thank you, Worship. Just on the matter of signs, I had one, but Councillor Dents reminded me of another issue. through you to Director Schapowski. Steve, I believe this one was called in, the other one I personally did it. There is at Roshamansky Park. That sign has some misdirected information on the bottom. I don't know if they're going to maybe take it down. The established and dedicated are wrong, like they're the wrong dates. And the other one I was going to send out as a Where's Waldo kind of thing. There is one sandblasted sign that's still up that nobody's taken down. And it is at Reservoir Park on Fielden Avenue. So that one is still the old sign. So the new abutments or the old sign. I don't know if we're going to put a new one there. It is an entrance. I recognize you've put one now on Elm Street or pending one on Elm Street, but if we could change out that one.
Yes, through you, Your Worship. We do have the Roshamansky sign. It's on order right now, so as soon as it comes in, we'll replace the two. The one on Fielden for Reservoir Park, we're actually doing a little bit of a different design because there was never an initial design for entrance signs in a similar circumstance, because Reservoir Park is a little different than the others with a directional sign bringing people into the park, because it does have an alleyway that's not always thought of as a park entrance, right? So we are working with our communications team to actually do a formal design for that and then push people into the park from there. So that one is on our list, and as we complete the designs, get the sign made, we will be replacing it.
Great, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Baggett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to complain about tonight. I want to thank Public Works staff. I'm not going to thank Steve. Everybody else thanks him all the time. So I'll go to his Public Works staff. A few months ago, I brought up in the corner of Fielden and Charlotte about the stop signs, the accident records with the police department, all that stuff. And a resident inquired through me, and they phoned me up and they wanted to tell me to thank staff for putting up bigger stop signs at that corner of Fielden and Charlotte, and also the rectangular warning sign with the white and the red crossbars on it. So I think people can see the stop sign this time. And also another resident through me about on Clarence Street, the obstruction of the flashing light coming from, say, Royal Bank. And I called it in, and city staff took care of it within 24 hours. So I do really appreciate your staff taking care of that so fast. And I have to tell these people, don't expect this all the time. Like, we can't get stuff done in 24 hours, but it's great to see staff does care about the residents, and they do take the residents' concerns seriously. And the only other thing I have, Mr. Mayor, through you to Steve, is maybe for next year, can we have staff take a look at Clarence Street between Catherine and Elm Street, the paving, if you have a new vehicle like you, Steve, you're not going to feel the bumps, but you have a little bit older vehicle, you really feel the bumps on that street. I don't think we're going to be digging up Clarence Street in the near future. That was supposed to be happening years and years ago. So we can take a look for next year's list, a little bit of repaving or a patch job or something. Probably a repaving would be nicer. Seems like where the two seams together, that's where it's all deteriorated. That's where the tires hit when there's cars parked on both sides of the street. So take a drive down, have your guys take a drive down, check it out. I'd appreciate it. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Borgard? Councilor Aquilina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple questions, and I'm hoping one of them is what Councilor Bodnar is thinking of. To Director Schapowski, you started preparing for new signs, I think, at the Friendship Trail, a few Friendship Trails going onto the roads, and then a few cemeteries. And I just was wondering when the final product might be completed.
Yes, through your worship. So I had an update from one of our PMs today. I'm just looking through the email. So basically the friendship signs, the hoops are just being constructed right now. So they're made, but I think they have to be powder coated at this point. So they're going to be installed, and then the signs need to be finalized that are like the inserts that go inside. So it's still underway. I don't have an exact time frame, but I can follow up with council maybe at the next council meeting as well, just to give you a definitive timeline. And also with the cemetery signs, so those are similar to the park signs. There's, I believe there's 2 outstanding right now, and we're just waiting on BAO approval to dig the actual sonotubes in the area so that we can install the remainder of them. And then those will be completed too. So there might be a little bit of a delay on the cemetery ones, but it's still, we're just going through the process.
Perfect, thank you. And then the other question I had, after the open house that we had for the road ends study, you met with Councillor Bodnar and myself, and I understood from that meeting that there was some work still to be done in formulating all of the comments from the public and reaching out to a few people. But a few residents have reached out to me indicating that the report's coming back September 24th. Can you confirm if that's true or not?
Yes, through you, Your Worship. So we have gathered all of the information today, all of the comments, the open house comments that we received. So we've put those together. We've seen some common themes as to what the area residents want to see out of this. So what we're going to do and what I'll recommend to council is that we postpone the September 24th meeting till later in the winter, so about November, December, so that we're able to talk to the ministry, talk about a couple alternatives, and then there may be options that we can put in front of council to either eliminate risk or mitigate risk, and we can actually have a couple options on the table. So as long as council's okay with that, that's what staff would recommend. Right now we're coming to that shoulder season where we're moving into September, October, and there's not going to be so much of an issue at this point because there just won't be an issue because of the timeline. Usually after October is when we're outside of that window for the Fowler toad. So as long as council's okay with that, we just recommend coming back late November to December on a report, if that's okay with you.
That's great, thank you. And one last question, then I have just an announcement to make. But the retaining wall at Pleasant Beach, is that going to be finalized this fall or next year?
Through you, Your Worship. So we have, the construction was actually planned to be started in October, and that's still on track, so we have retained Rankin Construction to complete the work. So it's still going as planned. That is still planned to happen in October, hopefully before any storms actually hit the lakeshore.
Before I make the announcement, did I touch on that? Okay. So the announcement I want to make is I'm the councillor representative for Friends of Roselawn, and they are seeking volunteers. I was specifically asked to ask all of council if they would volunteer on September 29th. It's a high tea that's being served, and it's a fall fashion show. It's at 1 p.m. Tickets are $50 that you can purchase through Pie Guy's Bakery. And 270 Degrees West is who will be hosting the fashion show. So if there's any volunteers in residents that would like to volunteer for that, you can get a hold of myself or anybody from the Friends of Roselawn, and again, any help from council would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm already booked in for it.
Yes, you're volunteering. Thank you, Councillor Elliott. I'll tell Councillor Aquilina to mark your name down.
29th?
29th.
Sure.
There you go. Go ahead.
Councillor Baggy brought up the intersection of Charlotte and Fielden, and it just struck me when I was coming to the meeting tonight. There was a four-wheel pickup truck parked on the northwest corner, right at the corner, and there was a car heading south on Fielden, and I don't know how they saw me or couldn't see around the truck and didn't go, but I could barely see the car when I was coming this way until I actually completely passed the pickup truck, and I saw him still sitting at the stop sign, which I was thankful for. But is there a way that we can mark on that corner in particular, just because it's such a, we've had so many complaints and people talking about near misses and accidents and things like that. Is there any way that we can signal that you can't park in those areas? I don't recall there being no parking signs or anything close, but when I saw this, I was waiting for the guy at the brake covered, waiting for him to pull out, because you literally couldn't see the car. I don't know how he saw me coming, but it just struck me as that's what makes that corner really dangerous, is parking so close to that corner. So I don't know if you just want to take a look at that, if there's anything that we can do to sign it or paint something on the ground or whatever. I know that there's a law that you can't park X number of meters to the corners, but I don't think people know that. And if there's no signage to say that, or there's no markings on the ground, it's like fair game, right? So just, if you want to put that in your notes and just say, yeah, just take a look and see what we can do.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Councillor Bonner, do you have something more or no?
I was just wondering on the Roselawn thing, or, like, does that involve us wearing clothes for fashion clothes? Because I don't think 280 West Street has men's clothing, so I was hesitant to volunteer.
Well, I believe the volunteers will be serving tea.
Yes.
And again, you don't want me serving tea. Sorry. I'm not going to work on this.
Okay.
But good luck with that.
If he's not going to model, I know. That was the whole reason for going.
That's right, that's right. Okay, there is one item to look after this evening. It is the correspondence item 9.1, City of St. Catharines request for extensions to Niagara Region incentive programs. So it was a motion arising from the City of St. Catharines resolution regarding a request for extensions to Niagara Region incentive programs. The city has taken great advantage of these incentives over the years. Facade improvements was one of them, which they've been out of for a little bit, a couple of years now, so we still do our own, but the rest of the incentive program is good. I know at council last Thursday they did vote to extend it 3 more years, but I think it is important that we support St. Catharines on this and support those councillors that want to continue this. It has driven business within Niagara very well, and our payback is huge on this. I know Mayor Diodati from Niagara Falls has asked that question to staff, and what it cost us to run the incentive programs to what our return is. Thank you, Councillor. Our return on these, it far outweighs the cost. So it is bringing business here. It is improving. Another Mayor Ugolini from Thorold, just drive down Thorold and what they've done with their downtown core with the incentive program that they did when they partnered with the region on facade improvement, but just other incentives that helped revitalize their downtown. I mean, we get applications all the time through Gary's department. Bram's always coming in. Can you sign this, Mr. Mayor? We've got another one that wants to improve their building. So they are good. So I would ask that you guys support that. And I'll just read here what Madam Clerk has put out for me, that the Council of the Corporation of the City of Port Colborne supports the resolution of the City of St. Catharines requesting the Niagara Region to extend the expiration deadlines for Niagara Region's incentive programs for a period of 3 years to October 1st, 2027. And further, the Council requests that Niagara Region extend the expiration deadline for Niagara Region's Smart Growth Regional Development Charges Reduction Program and the Smarter Niagara Incentive Program Property Rehabilitation and Revitalization Tax Increment Grant for a period of 3 years to October 1st, 2027 for projects approved by council under the city's community improvement plans honored before September 30th, 2024. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Beauregard, Councillor Bagu. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. I appreciate that. Next on our list is motions. Councillor Danch.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to read this out here. So whereas there have been situations in residential areas where lighting has been causing a disturbance to neighbors, therefore be it resolved that staff be directed to bring forward a report to council on whether regulating obtrusive outdoor lighting in residential areas is possible.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hoyle. Questions? Councillor Bruno.
Thank you, Worship. I fully support this. I probably all have had one time or another people complaining about that light overburden into someone else's yard. The only thing I wanted to do, and I don't know if this is a question for Denise or who's going to take over this, I just didn't want something to fall between the cracks. So it talks about residential and residential light pollution over into another one. I just was wondering if it should be more, especially if it's subjective, is all around, like rather than just residential. So I wouldn't have wanted something to come back and you're in a, you're grandfathered in a commercial zone, but you're a house. So that gets covered. That you're in a situation where the commercial person is the infractor and the person suffering is the residential, because it's on a boundary. So I just wanted to make sure that this light pollution or problem couldn't be usurped by it just being a different zone in the city.
Mr. Clerk, or Mr. Clerk, Mr. CAO.
Sure. Through your worship, Councillor Bruno, you make a good point. I think the main reason that we have residential in this motion before us is partly because of a particular issue that Councillor Danch and I have been speaking about. He's spoken to the clerk and to the bylaw manager, and we're not finding a rule that's going to give the original complainant the relief that they need in a residential setting. But it will probably be the bylaw enforcement division that does contemplate some kind of a regulation, and it will probably be through property standards, or staff's recommendation to council will be to go through property standards, and property standards do apply to all properties, residential, commercial, and industrial. But I will also go on to say that commercial and industrial properties, so I'll say that again, commercial and industrial properties have site plan control, and we can put nuisance lighting into site plan control, but we don't have that for residential. So we almost already have an enforcement tool, but this will give us something that hopefully is a little bit more user-friendly, and it helps people in situations where that light spills over the fence or across the road and is disruptive to the enjoyment of your own property.
Councillor, you all right?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else? Councillor Bagu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I brought this up under council concerns, I think it's June 25th, the council meeting, and it's my impression it was under council direction that they establish a bylaw, and talking to the manager, bylaw was scheduled for 2025. So I'm not sure where that happened. Under direction of council in a motion, does one outbid the other? I don't know. But as long as we get it, I don't care. So.
Through your worship to Councillor Bagu, I'll try my best to answer. I don't specifically remember that, but I don't dispute it. I imagine that this has come up in the past. And one of the bigger issues that Councillor Bruno has already identified is the subjective nature of what's reasonable amounts of light. There really isn't a test that shows this light is okay and that light is not okay. But in any event, through this work with Councillor Danch, I think staff wants to bring it forward sooner than 2025, which hopefully will accommodate both council members' wishes, because taking the approach, and the reason we can do it sooner, sorry, I should have gone on to say, is by, rather than making an entire bylaw regime of its own, a nuisance lighting bylaw, an amendment or a change or an addition to the property standards bylaw is a faster means to an end, or a faster, it will get results sooner for council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy with that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Further questions? Okay, seeing no more questions, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Councillor Danch. Notices of motion. Councillor Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be bringing forward a motion that will deal with possible deficiencies in our burning bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Okay, we're on to our bylaws. We have bylaw 20.1, a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the procedures of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Port Colborne. Can I have Councillors Hoyle and Elliott move that? Questions? All in favor? That's carried. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Great meeting.